South Africans who requested to be brought home from China are expected to be back in the country soon. The Defence Force team left last night. President Cyril Ramaphosa was at the OR Tambo International Airport to wish them well. Speaking to the team, the president said he was confident that the mission will go well. Men and women with a huge task of evacuating their compatriots in the epicenter of the coronavirus, the Wuhan city in China. But the Commander-in-Chief of Defence Force, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, is confident that the mission will be done. President Ramaphosa and the Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula also said they were confident that the SANDF has the experience to handle this type of mission. And Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize is also relieved that the evacuation is finally happening. And let's cross live now to our colleague in China, Patrick Falk. A very good morning to you, Patrick. In terms of preparations on that side for the South African team that's coming through to evacuate, what's the latest?
Well, as you say, the people being repatriated should be back in South Africa relatively soon, but it is going to take a while to get through some of the next few hurdles. The flight is going to land in the Philippines before it then heads to Wuhan. When it gets to Wuhan, there are going to be some administrative process that are going to take place. All the people are going to have their documents checked. There are 122 people that are returning to South Africa, as far as we understand. 180 had applied to come back, but only 122 will be getting on board that chartered flight. They will be checked by Chinese medical authorities for any coronavirus symptoms, and then they'll be handed over to South African officials for inspections as well. Now, as far as we understand on the flight itself, they are going to have regular temperature checks, and of course, when they get back to South Africa, there is going to be this whole quarantine process, and some big discussion about that, of course, because the government has said that they will have to undergo a 21 days quarantine at least, and they are under strict instructions not to break any of those rules.
Patrick, you're of course in Hong Kong, which is separate from mainland China. What is the latest there?
Well, life slowly getting back to normal here. I'm stood outside in a public sports ground here just to give you a glimpse of what people are doing. A lot of school children out here. Of course, they're not back at school yet, and they won't be for quite some time yet. And, you know, under these circumstances, for the past several weeks, people have been cooped up in their homes, and also in the dense sort of urban areas that we have in Hong Kong. People have been desperate to get out, so a lot of them coming out to places like this. This is, you know, Wednesday afternoon, and you can see there are a lot of people out in this park trying to enjoy a little bit of fresh air. The weather also warming up as well. We are told, according to some experts, that that is going to have an impact on the rate of infections and the ability of the virus to transmit from one person to the next. There are some reports that have suggested that the virus is at its sort of best ability to transmit from one person to another at around 9 degrees, just under 9 degrees centigrade. It's getting a lot warmer than that here, and so people are optimistic. And as we know, the situation in China has improved a lot as well. So people in Hong Kong certainly seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps.
The focus conversation so far has been in terms of infections and deaths. What conversations are being had about people's ability to come out of having been infected with corona and following treatment?
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Would you mind repeating that question?
I was saying that the focus has mainly been infections and the number of deaths, but there isn't much that is being said about recuperation. What's the latest here coming out from where you are in terms of people's ability to recover?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have been getting some figures of people recovering from the virus. There has been a large proportion of those people in Hubei province in particular that have recovered from the disease right now. That's one of the reasons why China is gaining confidence in their ability to successfully win this battle against the coronavirus. And of course, that's partly why President Xi Jinping visited Wuhan yesterday as a show of confidence and to show the country that they were well past the worst of the situation. At the same time, though, people are trying to not let their guards drop. There is a new problem that is emerging. There have been 24 new cases that have been reported in the last 24 hours, as a matter of fact, of new infections. And we are told that just under half of those were imported from outside China. So there is a new battle on its hands, if you like, not from within the country, but from outside of the country. 6 of the new infections that were reported were in Beijing, from 5 of them apparently from Italy, 1 of them from the US, according to the National Health Commission. And in fact, the city of Tianjin, not far from Wuhan city, also in Hubei province, it was one of the first cities to declare a lockdown. Just the other day, it announced it was lifting its lockdown on residents and transport. Only a few hours later, though, it then reimposed it and said that the announcement was void, which gives you an idea that people are still a little bit nervous about the situation, and they just feel it's best to be safe rather than sorry, if you like.
So, Patrick, let's confirm this here. You are saying that the numbers of infections are going down.
Yeah, that's right. They have been going down for a number of days. The number today is actually slightly higher than it was yesterday. But as I say, a lot of those cases were imported. So we could see new travel restrictions for people coming from outside of China into the country. Certainly here in Hong Kong, there have been new travel restrictions that have been imposed on people coming from Italy. Of course, we know that is where the second largest outbreak has now overtaken South Korea, has taken place. More than 10,000 cases of infections in Italy and also other parts of Europe as well. So the big concern, as I say, it's not just in China, also the special administrative region, Hong Kong, is cases of infections being brought from outside rather than from within.
Patrick, also the other inadvertent story that has come out of the outbreak story is the surge in the sale of hygiene products. We've certainly seen it happen here in South Africa, especially in relation to masks and sanitizers. What's the situation like in Hong Kong at this moment?
Well, it's funny, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday as well. When you walk down some of the sort of busy shopping streets, you will see lots of stores that have closed up for business. They have been badly hurt by what's gone on here over the past couple of months. But one of the types of businesses that are doing booming business are pharmacists and dispensaries. They are selling bucket loads of hand sanitizers, face masks and so on and so forth. So, there are winners and losers in what's going on here. People that are businesses, if you like, that are benefiting off the back of this outbreak. And also, just this morning, I was talking to some school teachers and some of the situations they're faced with. Of course, the children, as I say, aren't back at school right now, and a lot of them are having to do home learning, a lot of interactive learning, online learning. There's also been a boom for e-learning businesses, and a lot of analysts are saying that that is likely to stay. People have become more familiar with the concept of virtual classrooms and so on and so forth. And as they've been exposed to more products and services, they are likely to take up more paid-for services. So, like I say, lots of businesses that are also experiencing positive business under these circumstances.
Patrick, thank you so much for that update coming to us from Hong Kong.